Generic greetings and welcome to Stellaris. Today's beverage is limited because with the UK lockdown as well as the panic buying that people still seem to be doing, you can't really get anything decent, although to be fair, it's also not exactly essential. So I've been avoiding that and instead going to the magic faucet in many places in the house where you can get free beverages from it, and it's almost endless. Water. So, Stellaris, while we're hunkering down in the bunker, obviously playing different things, and Stellaris has been one of them. This is the quite recently released Federations DLC and the Verne 2.6 update, although as of the time recording, you see from the bottom there, it's actually the Verne 2.6.2 update, something I've played for about 16 or 17 hours now, and that includes a single-player game, which I'm going to load up in a moment to show you, but also co-op with two other friends in multiplayer. So, there's a fairly decent range there. I've tried most of the new stuff, not enough to speak with any massive great confidence on long term. So this is a first impressions, not any sort of formal review or anything like that, as always, but it's just to show you some of the additions and changes and that sort of thing. With that in mind, let's go to new game and I'll show you a little bit of what's been added. Let's go to create new empire, and we're going to go to what I believe is one of the best features straight away in the game, and that's now the additions of origins. And these it gives you like a little flavour when you're creating your empire, and also some fairly big changes as well, like mechanical changes. Now, so we're going to pick, like, say, Mechanist there. Start the game with 8 pups being robots and start with the technology and infrastructure to build more. Syncretic evolution, start the game with 12 pops being of another subservient species. Life seeded, start in a Gaia world. Post-apocalyptic, start on a tomb world. Now, a lot of these you might be thinking, well, actually, weren't they already in Civics? And yes, a lot of these, or some of them, I wouldn't say a lot, I don't think it's the majority of them, but some of them did start off originally in some form as a Civic, but they've been stripped out now and put into Origins. So that's all these ones here, but you've got other ones that are really, really interesting. So Remnants, start with a Relic world as your home world. Shattered Ring, start with a partially destroyed Ring world as your home world. The Ring world will start with an arcane generator that's able to maintain some of your segments. Void Dwellers, one of the coolest, start with 3 orbital habitats and the technology to build more. So immediately, being able to build orbital habitats is cool. However, members of your species thrive on habitats and produce 50% more. There. Severe habitability and growth penalties on normal planets. You are limited pretty much statistically to space, but that's cool. Scion, start as a vassal of a falling empire. What? When I read that, I was I was quite shocked. And you've got other ones as well. Not all are great. Galactic Doorstep, start with a dormant gateway in your home system. Could be used like sort of mid to late game. Shoulders of Giants, I've done that one personally. You start with an archaeological site in your system, which it reads on. I've only done it once, so I don't know if the story is exactly the same. If so, then not so great, but statistically, the stuff you get off it's worth doing it. Things like Calamitous Birth, start with a massive crater deposit on your homeworld, giving additional total districts and that sort of thing. And then we've got things like Doomsday, warning, challenging origin. Your homeworld will explode within 35 to 45 years after the game starts. Valuable resources on the Doom planet's mantle boost production on the surface. No guaranteed habitable worlds will spawn near you. So basically, if you want a challenge, then go for that one there. Common Ground. Start as the leader of Galactic Union Federation with 2 additional members. There you go. So that's some of the new stuff. So a lot of this is, like I said, some of this is from what were originally in the Civics. Some of it is brand new, and some of it is tied to DLC. So, for example, the Calamitous Birth, I believe you have to have the Lithoid DLC. The Shattered Ring, I believe that one is also tied to... A lot of these, I said, are tied to the DLCs. I'm not entirely sure which one because I own all the DLCs, but basically just you need to be aware of that. Okay, so that is a quick look at the Origins. What I'm going to do now is load up a save game I've been playing and show you some of the Federation stuff. Okay, and here we are with some research complete, and as the Bill Knock Union on year 2304, so not too far into the game. We've just got some administrative capacity there. We'll just pick something else like Clone Army, probably extra food from farmers. So, as I said, I'm not going to go through this is Stellaris, this is how you play it, blah, 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 but I'll go through some of the most noteworthy changes, and that is basically Federations, diplomacy, Galactic Council-y type stuff, as well as just some nice tweaks and changes when it comes to dealing with other people. So, In the previous games, it was quite binary whether people liked you or hated you and that sort of thing. There was very little middle ground. However, if we click on, say, this guy next to us here, we can see that we now have a much better overview in the diplomacy section. So we have better Empire overview. We can see like the Empire sprawl, their colonies, the production, their diplomatic weight, which is like another... it's not really a currency, but it's more rating there, and I'll get to that in a moment. And what is this? A transport ship must be in orbit because it's a smuggler base, and that's still over there. That's been a thorn in my side for quite some time. Let me go on and deal with it and research. Let's do that one there, and we have another thing to pick from this one. There you go. There's a lot of busy work going on at the moment because there's things coming to an end, and I've got relic activations and all sorts of stuff. Anyway. So I'm actually going to pause it while we go through it. So over here we can see that we have the new diplomacy thing, and we now have obviously all the rating for fleet power and the technology level and stuff. That's still there, but now we have a diplomatic stance. So it's sort of their baseline where they start from. Now naturally you will have some people that just do not want to talk to you. So for example, over on the right hand side we have stagnant ascendancy. They are dormant. They have no diplomatic stance other than just that we're not talking to you. Same as if we go for, opinion map mode, yes, the Maga Heralds of Death, a great place you'd like to take the kids on the weekend. Fanatic Purifiers. Purification is their stance. The Empire believes that enemies exist solely to be destroyed, and that they are the ones chosen to do so. So basically, we don't like you, we're going to wipe you out, that's where we stand. However, other ones, like this one here, belligerent. So the Empire will attempt to bully weaker empires into submission of their will. What is our empire? Just out of interest. And I can't find out where it is. Hang on, it'll be in policies. So diplomatic stance is expansionist. This empire seeks to grow peacefully, but has no specific diplomatic focus, so that's fine. So this is your baseline. It also gives you like slight statistical changes. So isolationist, you gain bonuses to administrative capacity and things like that. Supremacist, you get bonuses to like war exhaustion and that sort of thing. So immediately, you've got a nice little takeaway there from that, which is quite cool. You also have now, when you're talking to people, a better rating of their status. So, for example, these guys next to me, they are friendly, however, they are going down now. So we currently have excellent relations with this empire, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars on the bottom. So once this gets to 0, that will then switch to the next one. So it goes to... well, you've got excellent, positive, neutral, tense, and terrible. And obviously that will affect how you talk to them and that sort of thing. And what you can do. If we mouse over here, we can see just how they're feeling about us and how we feel about them. What is increasing, what is decreasing, and what those things are. So in this case, it's trust, we've got things like... in Federation, same authority, they're all positives. Border friction obviously would be a negative, and differing ethics, that sort of stuff. So, and trust, you've got trust growth and that sort of thing. So, basically, less binary, quite good. That then feeds into federations. We currently have a federation on the go at the moment. It is, if we go over to here and then to unions map mode, this is our union all along here. So the person we were just looking at, as well as the person on the right hand side there. This is our federation, formed only quite recently, about maybe 40 years ago. And this is the Federated Star Nations, a galactic union. When you create a federation, you can choose what type of federation you want to create. So Galactic Union is your default. Basically, you're working together. That's all it really is. Pretty much what the game was like originally. You also then have things like trade block and militaristic federation type stuff, and they'll give you different bonuses based on the name, as you might imagine. So militarist, you get like not as much war score. You gain, or rather, not as much negatives in that one. You might get more fleet, that sort of thing. But this is the basic one, and when you set it up, basically, you're still trying to work together. It's not just like, bang, immediately, there you go, Federation's up and running. No, instead, you have a cohesion bonus, and that, again, will slowly increase or decrease over time. Generally, it will decrease right at the beginning, start at 0, and is quite bad, because you're just starting to work together. You haven't really got everything nailed down, and all that sort of thing. And over time, your cohesion will grow, and it will then start to be in the positives, and then that will start to level up your Federation. In this particular case, we are at level 3. So at level 1, it says you started diverse ethics impose a 50% smaller penalty to Federation cohesion. So you can have differing people in your Federation, and the ethics are not as affected by it. The level 2 is officer exchange. The amount members contribute towards the Federation naval capacity counts 25% more, so you can have a bigger Federation fleet. Welcoming nature. New members impose a 50% smaller cohesion penalty on the Federation. So when you bring in someone new, it doesn't hit you as hard and you get like negatives to the cohesion. And then you've got Federation envoys. You get envoys. I'll show you that in a moment. Level 3 is attaché, so additional unity, ship speed increase while in your Federation space. You get Federation influence gain, and then level 4 is starting to get quite powerful. So you've got things like stronger together, damage to endgame crisis factions plus 25, and that's actually doubled on the next one as well. So that is pretty important, and you've got diplomatic weight and that sort of thing. So yeah, again, pretty good. You've also got your members there. Shows you what the opinion are of them, your overall diplomatic weight. I'll touch on that in a moment. Your ethics, if it's in, like you can see the red circles there, means you've got the opposed ones. In terms of fleets, you've still got your level your fleets in there, so you can create your ships and put them in the fleet and that sort of thing. And then it comes to laws, where this is, how do I put it? This is an interesting one, because this is like an overall change of Federation law. Now obviously it'll be based on the type of Fed that you put up and that sort of thing, but basically you've got, when you start, you're on minimal for your Federation centralization, so everybody on the same page. So the basic one is just you're talking to each other, you're not going to attack each other, you're sharing information, you're all going to war against the same fleet and that sort of thing. So you're in defensive pact, you've got research agreement, all the typical stuff. However, they also have things like fleet contribution. So currently none. We're not collaborating on military effort. If you go to law, it basically says you have to have 10% of your naval capacity into the Federation, and that increases that, so that's fine. You also have supporters and opposition to give you a rating of how much these other empires want to have that. You've got succession type, like rotation, so when it goes to the leader of the Federation, it'll go to, in this case, just the next person. You've got random, challenge, and strongest. However, you might notice that some of these are hidden behind the levels. So, to get the ones here, you need a very high Federation centralization, which it reduces monthly cohesion because it's costing you more to try and keep this together because you're imposing laws and will on this thing. But once you do that, you've got options for all different things. So succession type, strongest, just whoever's the strongest is always the leader, or really high, 30% of your fleet power, 30% is put straight into the Federation fleet, quite powerful. Subjects can join, vote weight, you can say, look, based on equal at the moment for what diplomatic is based on how strong you are and things like that. You've got things like war declaration, unanimous vote, majority vote, or president decides. So it literally, you're in command, you tell them what to do. Invite members, again, you get a president, but all these are blocked behind certain ones. It basically starts off at minimum. It would be nice when you create it to set all these and then it's created, but it's not. It's start off at minimum and then you advance up to the high one. Not a particular problem. I can understand why that was the case. However, being able to start at, say, very high and set all these laws would be quite good. But not a massive problem considering there's other federations and, it's just something to work towards. That's just how it is. So there you go. So a lot of the stuff is, well, it's some of the stuff you probably just want to go, we're in the Federation, leave it as such. It's pretty much like the game previous, but then you've got other stuff that you can choose to go down as well. And obviously if you've got certain ethics and certain, where is it? I'm trying to find the right button. That one, traditions, like domination stuff, you might get different options for that. And obviously diplomacy, that's been changed up as well. So the first one is you can create a Fed. Next one is amount you send into the Federation naval capacity. You've got your market fee reduction, you've got trade protection, trade values increased, and your trust caps increased, so more talking, more better. And then finally, we have the Galactic community, which is basically, with the greatest will in the world, a boatload of statistics that you will probably stop reading after a while because, quite frankly, it's just a bit boring, sorry to say. But you have the Galactic Federation. After you've met so many empires, what will happen is you'll have a little chat and say, look, we're going to form the Galactic community, who wants in? Put your hand up, that sort of stuff, and then it is created. And then everybody within this Galactic community, which is the majority of people, obviously things like the Determined Exterminators, the Stagnant Ascendancies, the Marauding Empire, and like simulators and those sort of things, they will probably not, well, they won't be in. But the majority of them, even if you truly hate each other, you'll still be part of the Galactic community. You'll still get together, you'll obviously look from the benches at each other and go, don't like you, whatever. But at least you're all around the table. And what that does is essentially set global, galaxy-wide changes that are a bit bland. So, for example, like charter workers' rights. So, it's only right for us to codify the rights of workers and protect them from common abusers. Modifies diplomatic weight from POPs plus 20%. Worker happiness plus 5%. So, plus 5 happiness across everybody that's in this federation is quite good. However, workers' political power plus 10%. Not too bad. You've also got things like the Guardian Angels Act. Soldiers that dedicate their lives to keeping our planet safe should recognise and be honoured. Modifies diplomatic weight from fleet power minus 20%, so you get less diplomatic weight, which I still haven't covered on, but give me a moment. And defence army morale plus 15%, so not too bad, but army upkeep plus 5%. So you may not want that. So what would you do? Well, depending on when it pops up on the left-hand side, there's your queue. You can say, right, well, I support that, I oppose that, I abstain in that. You can call in a favour or you can hand out favours, and this can be from certain events in the game, from diplomacy and that sort of thing. You get favours, and if you call that in, they essentially will vote on your behalf. So you can say, call in a favour, vote for me. I gain a temporary bonus in my diplomatic weight, which is used for these voters. And then I can say, right, well, actually, I do want that, and then it gets supported, or whatever. Diplomatic weight is the resource I've been not covering for a while because, quite frankly, it's just a big number that's calculated by, well, you can see quite a lot of things. Basically, it's population, empire size, economy. It's just almost your score, essentially, but that can be altered based on the things that are voted in and voted out. And this is where the sticking point comes, because this could be an extremely powerful tool, but there's so much going on and so much like alterations that if you really want to heavily focus on this, that might take quite some time, because you don't vote every 30 seconds. It does take quite some time to go through, because you have the Senate floor where it basically takes quite a while to count up the votes, and there'll be people going back and forth and that sort of thing. And then when it comes through, there it is. So focusing on that might be quite draining. Also, the bonuses are not like really exciting. It's just like a little bit of happiness and things like that. It does get exciting though when you go over to things like, there's your resolutions. These are all ones you can propose, and there's quite a lot here. Things like, you've got denouncement. You can denounce people. You can, I am the Senate, do that whole, council size is 1, abolish the Galactic Council, permanent council seats for people. This is where it really gets really quite interesting on that one. Things like natural sanctuaries, no, where is it? There's a couple of ones in here that are quite like, really, really... These ones at the moment are just quite sort of, there's a couple of statistical changes. The other ones are like really sort of like quite altering. I think there's a military one. Which one is it? Right. That one. There we go. Any empire in the galactic community can propose a resolution to denounce an empire in breach of galactic law. Essentially, when you bring in one of these, it might say you have to have a fleet. Yet your fleet must be like half of your maximum total or something. And if they are in breach of that, then there will be certain negatives that they are applied to it. But you've got other ones like this one where you can just say, yeah, you get the animosity, casus belli, and humiliation war goal to be used in the Empire, and unrestricted wars against empires that have been denounced. So you can denounce them and then immediately attack them. So that would be, again, fairly cool. I can understand why that's not the majority of this, because otherwise the game would be random and absolutely all over the place. So we're starting off gentle with some statistical stuff, and then we go into the really interesting things like that. The problem is that, well, there's just a couple of rough edges in place. As I said, some of this is a bit, some, it's not great. As you might expect, if you've got more diplomatic weight, you can pretty much just set this to pretty much how you want. So, for example, the Guardian Angels Act is actually the 3rd on the list there, but if I say support that, it's going right up, because I've got so much I've got so much diplomatic weight, which you would expect, and that makes perfect sense, but means that if you wanted to pass something and nobody else does, then it can be quite, it'll sit down on there. Also, the AI does seem really like to just fill this queue. We want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. Oh, now we want to repeal it, then we want to repeal it, then we want to repeal it. So they've passed it, and then 45 years down the line, oh, we're going to repeal that now. But it takes so long to get there that you don't really... It seems to be like a really big sticking point, and maybe that's the intention. Maybe they're trying to say something about a huge galactic community trying to work together with loads of opposing ethics and different opinions and thoughts and motives and goals. It can be, the bureaucracy doesn't go fast type stuff, and I get that. What I don't get is things like the repeal stuff. It says, repeal this thing, and it tells you what it is, but it doesn't show you what it is. So repeal the regulatory facilitation. Let's go over to resolution, and I'm going to have to find it. Where is it? There it is, there. So that's what it is. So diplomatic weight from economy plus 20%, worker pop happiness output plus 2.5%, and habitability minus 2%. So that's currently ongoing. However, they want to repeal it. I don't know why. It doesn't just show you, if you mouse over that, what that is, or you click on details, shows you what that is, instead of having to go into the resolutions and find it, because quite frankly, there's so many of them. I mean, yeah, a better person than me will be able to remember all of this. But I think it would be very nice if it just showed you what those are. Also, you can see supporters, that's pretty good. In terms of envoys, I haven't covered that. You now have envoys, which I think is I think that might be a 2.6 just blanket update rather than DLC. I haven't split up what was in the DLC and what is in the update because it gets even more muddy when you consider some of the origins also you mix with the DLC. So basically, this is just all of the stuff as of recording. There you are. So envoys, you assign envoys to, well, you can actually assign them to the Galactic community, which if you assign it, you gain plus 10% diplomatic weight, and you can assign more. So I can say, you go over there, and we gain more diplomatic weight, which is cool. You can assign them to your own federation. I believe it increases your cohesion. So let's just assign those. There you go. That's assigned. I'll just unpause it a second while it works it out. Envoys in total, 5 envoys there, and yeah, cohesion impact is plus 5. So the more envoys that people assign to the Federation and to the Galactic community, the more it'll help out. And naturally, you can assign them to your other people around the galaxy. So you can say, look, improve relations, and you will improve them by sending over a person. So there is someone going over there to improving relations. So it's not just immediately. In the previous games, it would be there's some stuff. There's trade. There's line of sight. There's 5,000 minerals, and that was the way to get this increased. And you can still trade things over. You can still offer trade deals and do that, including favors, so they gain bonuses in the diplomatic stuff. So that's cool. But you can also just put an envoy there and start to improve that. Similarly, you can do it the other way and say harm relations. There's an envoy, see you later, that's now going to start to go down, because why not? So it's much more of a sliding scale, which I do appreciate, and it's also a bit more, it's less binary. Also, the AI does seem to be, I don't know if it feels smarter, and I don't know whether I'm just making that up, but just this game and the other one in particular, was like, this person here, this free Atherian Confederacy, they were working their way north here to cut me off. Brought this guy into the Federation, who had no interest in expansion over on the left-hand side, and immediately went and put an outpost there to stop them and then close borders with them to expand the rest one. And I thought that was an extremely smart, dangerous, and interesting move that I don't think I would have seen in previous games. I don't know whether it's just random or whether it's a negative towards me. I'm not too bothered about it. I think that's actually quite good, but I've never seen that before. I think also the fleets do seem to work a bit differently. The enemy doesn't just wave into you and then you die immediately. I mean, I don't know if this is just me reading too much into it. I've went through the patch notes and stuff and read the dev blogs, and I think there was some work done on that, but it does seem to be a bit more smarter. It doesn't just wave fleet in or run them off and that sort of thing. So yeah, there seems to be improvements there. Also, performance does seem to be improved at times as well. Overall, I think that's pretty much the majority of what we need to cover. I think there have been some changes in the policies and in the edicts, naturally, and some tweaks and changes to other things there. In terms of envoys, you get a certain amount of envoys based on all manner of stuff, whether you've got certain buildings, like I've got an embassy complex there, which I can upgrade, and as you go up in in the tree and here, diplomacy, you get more in there. And obviously you assign them. the envoys themselves, when we look at them, hang on, if I go to over here and harm relations, say, you can get their age and their skill level, and they're all at this point level 1, so I don't know why they haven't leveled up, because I don't think they're going to go past the, well, most of them are going to start dying at this stage because we haven't got any venerable traits or any long-lived ones, but they don't have the skills like you get in, for example, the research. So, you know, you've got the different skill levels there. You can see the skill levels 4 of 8, and you've got also other traits like, for example, if I can click on them, yeah. So meticulous, anomaly, discovery chance, adaptable, archaeologist, you know, expertise in particles, that sort of thing. You don't get that for the envoys, so they don't get, like, say, a peaceful trait where they get bonuses to improve relations, or a really negative one, bonuses to negatives, or, say, all-rounder, very good at dealing with the galactic community, just bonuses to that. I think the reason is they didn't want a micromanager of the envoys, but at the same time it seems a bit of a missed opportunity. If you're going to double down on that sort of thing, then and people could focus on that. I don't know. Hard to say whether it will work or not. Feels like it should have been in. Also, assigning them, you can see it up there. You can see how many you have, and it gives you the name of them. But for the life of me, that's just a boatload of text I'm going to have to read and then run around and find all this. And this is on a small map. On a larger map, that's going to be quite a nightmare. So I don't know why there's just not a map mode for envoys. It'll just show you, right, envoy map mode, oh, there's 2 assigned there, there's 2 there, there's 2 there, and then it'll just tell you up here, and this is actually how many is assigned to the Galactic community and to the Federation. That will be quite good as well. But that's, again, all really minor stuff. Overall, extremely happy with Federations in 2.6. Definitely needed some more tweaks and changes to the Federations and the diplomacy stuff, because it was basically, you got to a point and it was like, right, can't do anything, they don't want to talk to me, and we've got the same naval power, that's it. Whereas now you can slowly try to get on side and work together and move things along, and all that's cool. Do like the new Federations, more interesting, more stuff in there, more to read, different types of Federations that work well. Shall I leave the Federation? I'll show you. Actually, can we create another Federation? So overview, and I probably can't form Federation. You need excellent, actually. Can I guess it's probably going to be 10 years, isn't it, until I can form a Federation. No, because I have to join that one. Let me go over to Shaky Hands. You might want to join, might you? And must be peace. So I don't think anyone's going to be... Nothing's going to happen. No. Requires excellent relations and an envoy, yeah. So I can't actually show you that because of all this problems here. But when you create it, it tells you what type you can do, and it's based on your government and that sort of thing. But really like the... Well, for a start, the layout of that, very much... I really like that. Much more of a sliding scale. Envoys, brilliant, like that. Just wish there would be an easy way to see where they are, and do think it was a missed opportunity not to have them with certain skills. Also, don't know why they're all level 1 at their old age at this point. I don't know whether it's such because I haven't done anything with them. There might be something I'm completely missed out. As I said, this is a first impressions only. If I'm completely off the mark with any of this, then, well, that is possible. The, let's say, assignment is okay, but it could be nice if it was a more visual thing. And then I think the biggest sort of, not letdown, but I think this whole Galactic community stuff I like a lot. There's so much to like, especially when you get into like the lot of like veto powers and stuff. That it does feel pretty cool, but there's no physical home of the Galactic community. The same is true for markets, to be fair. Like when you create your when you create the what's actually called the Galactic market, which is now formed via this, by the way. You have a leader, and in this case it's, where are they? Them. They're the leader. But the way they become the leader is by essentially going, right, decisions, I want this to be, this, I want to be the leader, make a decision on your planet, and you bid for it. Galactic community, no such thing, it just pops up. It would be nice if there was a central meeting point, a physicality in here, somewhere like a big space station or something like that. That could then be destroyed, or overrun, or something happens there, or if that nation changes, then that alters where that starts, and you could have a power bid for who hosts these talks, even if it's a temporary thing. Maybe the whole thing goes on, and you gain bonuses if you're hosting it in your empire, and that sort of thing. That would be, I think, fairly cool as well, like a galactic power seat, like Coruscant type style. That would be quite good. As I said, a couple of tweaks and changes too. Maybe the visual ones here. Yeah, overall, it's fine. The Galactic community, it's fine. Could be a bit better, I think, but seems to work out. As always, this is a big change for Stellaris with 2.6 and Federations, so these are all subject to change and tweaks and that sort of thing. I mean, as we've seen with 2.2, massive changes and overhauls, and then it pretty much didn't work and broke a lot of the game, which is why a lot of people fell out with it, including myself for a while, and then it was fixed, and then, it's all in flux. So, either way, good release, having fun with it, very much appreciate all of the changes, just wish some of them went a little bit further, and hoping for that too. Also would like to see some more Origins, which I'm guessing we will see as future DLCs come out, but in general, we'd just like to see some more. But then you could always say about Origins and the stories in the game and archaeological sites and that, so, not a knock, just, personal wishes. Either way, hope you have enjoyed this little look around at Stellaris Federations and the DLC. As I said, first impressions only. If there's anything major that I've got wrong, then by all means feel free to correct me. I will update the video description and the comment section to amend if that's the case. I'm looking forward to playing more. In fact, I will be doing so shortly, continuing on a co-op game and hopefully not getting absolutely sledged. Haven't yet got to the late game stuff, so we'll see how that affects it. And that's a trinary star system in the middle of nowhere, so I'm guessing there's a wormhole connected to that, and there's probably a big beastie. So I'm staying well away from that. And that's a void spawn over there. It won't show me because we don't have sensor range, but that's a big dragon thing hoarding in that gas cloud over there. Either way, hope this has been informative and somewhat interesting. If you like what you see, then by all means let me know in the comments. If you want to see more, then same thing. As always, links in the description so you can check the game out and the patch and DLC yourself. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.